Hello, I'm Angela Princeville, and on today's segment of Ask AP, I'm answering a question which, in summary, is whether Ontario courts actually order paternity tests before making a child support order. And the answer to that question is no. Ontario courts do not ask for paternity tests to confirm that a person is in fact, the biological parent before they make child support orders. And if you think about this, from a legal perspective, you would see that why it makes sense. And I know that this, the context of this question was a person felt that they were being unfairly made to pay child support. They were not sure that the child in question was theirs biologically, and a child support order was made in their absence. And that's why, that question came along. Like, why would a court make this order without confirming that the child is in fact mine? So under the law, there's generally a presumption, for example, in the case of married persons, that a child from that relationship is the child of both, of the married couple. If there's reasonable grounds to believe that the child is not yours, then of course you can ask the courts for a paternity test. And it's only if it's requested that the courts would order it. And there's times where the courts may choose not to order those sorts of tests, paternity tests, but I would leave that for another time. But as a general rule, you might, if you think that you have no biological connection with a child and you want to find that out before you assume any kind of financial responsibility for the child, the courts, may allow you do that. But you need to know that the fact that you don't have a biological connection with a child is not the end of the conversation. You don't just get to say, well, this is not my child biologically, so I don't have to pay any child support and it's end of story. It doesn't work that way. And if you think about it, it makes sense, because if you take, people in same-sex relationships, for example, one or both of them may not even have any biological connection to the child. And that doesn't change the fact that these people are very real parents to the child, to the child of the relationship, right? So being a parent and the obligations that come with being a parent just exceed sort of your biological connection with the child. There's also, examples of, step parents, as an example, where one party, is a step parent, no biological connection, but has stood in the place of a parent for a child, has supported a child financially, for a length of time. And if the relationship ends and that parent takes the position that, well, I'm not biologically connected to this child, so I don't have to pay support anymore, then we're creating a scenario where we might be increasing, child poverty in society and all that sort of thing. Now, I do sympathize with, some people that are not aware that a child is not biologically theirs and have been in a child's life only for that reason, right? So if circumstances are different, their position would be that I would not be in this child's life if it were not my child biologically. I sympathize with those scenarios where, maybe the relationship breaks down and then, they find out that it's not their child and now they don't want to pay child support. I understand. But if you have any concerns at any point during your relationship that the child is not biologically yours, then my advice is get that paternity test. Don't be in the child's life, wait until the point of separation, and then ask that for a paternity test before you pay child support, because at that point it's not going to matter, right? If the child's not yours and you've been in this child's life, you most likely have an obligation to support the child financially. And there's been people that are aware that a child is not theirs biologically, but want to be there, want to have a relationship with the child and have no problem paying child support. So I put in all of these contexts so that you can see that it's not necessarily because the courts want to be unfair and want to be biased. That's not the reason why they're not ordering paternity tests routinely before making a child support order, it's because in a lot of contexts, the biological connection doesn't affect the legal obligation to support the child. So if if you're in a marriage, or if you're in a relationship, or whatever circumstance in which you find yourself being identified as the parent of a child, if you have any concerns that that might not be accurate, order that paternity test right away. And if you can choose to either be in the child's life and pay child support or not, it would be totally up to you at that point. But yes, again, to answer the question, would the court order paternity test before making a child support order? The answer is no. Until next time, it's bye for now.